In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, you gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. And it looks like the camera's set up for last night's event, which was superb. It was lovely to hang out with Fabrizioni. And there we go. Let's see the on-air light, shall we? Thank you, T-Duck, for your recent modifications. Well, your repair of that. I absolutely love the on-air light here in the Good Morning Portugal studio. Very good. And last night, Fabrizioni talking about their area of Lisbon, their love of Portugal and their plans. Their flat is absolutely delightful. I guess last night's conversation in many ways officially launches it onto the market, onto the real estate market here in Portugal. So check out that webinar last night, which is nearly an hour-long conversation. Dip in and out of that, have a look at the apartment. It's absolutely beautiful. And find out a bit more about the chaps as well and their onward plans, or the spirit of their onward plans, homeowner associations, condominium. They're not condominium clubs, are they, here in Portugal? But anyway, when you own a flat together with other people, the politics and how well that works here in Portugal, we touched on that as well. So very interesting, whether or not you want to live in Lisbon or indeed purchase the apartment. A very interesting conversation about life here in Portugal. So thanks again, Fabrizio and Ian, for a great evening last night. And looking forward this morning to talking to the Portugueeza. Naughty. Well, he's not very naughty at all. He's a fantastic bloke, the Portuguese. I love talking to him when we meet up on a monthly basis. And this is, yes, the old fossils in Portugal. So, yes, us too. And looking at archaeology as well. So we'll welcome Tony at about 1:15 this morning. But we've got a bit of catching up to do with one thing and another. Let's say hello, first of all, to Coach Turner. Good morning to you, Ian. Have a chat with you after the show, I hope, this morning. Bon dia for such. Yeah, very, very nice. You seem to have found that piece of vocabulary very easily. Feliz Quinta-feira. We could have fitness for fossils, couldn't we? Rename the God Squad project. Fossil fitness. Feliz Quinta-feira. Mrs. T is home safe and sound. Good to hear. But feeling the cold. Yeah, she's been away. Was it in Spain? It's only been in the mid-teens the last couple of days, temperature-wise, and very autumnal. Planning trips to Portugal. Yes. No, don't blame you. Funny that. However, Mrs. M was saying last night, very, very autumnal and wintry here. Feels like winter's setting in. That's what I've written about, actually, in the Portugal Resident this week. And the winter blues, in fact, and how that can affect particularly foreigners, expats and immigrants in the new country when you didn't move here for that cold weather and the dark nights and the damp. Anyway, let's do the God Squad tip of the day now, because I think we're going to get engrossed in conversation with Tony a little bit later on. So the God Squad tip of the day today. I keep an eye, says Coach Turner, on the latest research into exercise for a couple of reasons. Firstly, so you don't have to. Yes, thanks for that. And secondly, to see whether it's useful for growing old disgracefully, or fossil fitness, as it's now known. One piece popped up yesterday that related to what I was talking about last week. Squats. Research looked into whether they were bad for knees and concluded with caveats. A public school education there. Warnings, I guess, caveats that they weren't dangerous then for you. They weren't bad for bad knees. Okay. But proceeding with caution, I'm sure, is what Coach will advise here. It was the caveats that were interesting to me. First of all, caveat on toast, first thing in the morning, along with patum peperium, gentleman's relish, the perfect gentleman's breakfast. Firstly, people should not just start doing squats. Yes, this is a problem, isn't it, with fitness? It's like gung-ho, straight into it. Build up slowly has always been the advice and approach advised by Coach Turner here. So yes, squats, especially with extra weight, they should build up slowly. And I think by extra weight, you mean if you're carrying a few extra pounds, you want to be careful doing squats, and don't be thinking of tins of beans and dumbbells when you first get going. So build up slowly. Secondly, the knees should always be over the toes to minimize twisting. Although I saw a bloke swinging around a dumbbell the other day, and saying that one of the great things missing from the fitness regimes, I'm not saying that for this age group particularly, but this bloke was doing a lot of horizontal sort of circular movements, which you don't see very often. Anyway, I digress. Secondly, the knee should always be over the toes to minimize twisting. It is the movement that damages joint and strains ligaments, particularly the anterior cruciate ligament, the ACL. Yeah, we hear of that, don't we, giving way in older age. I think probably gets a bit worn out. So be careful with that. And finally, then, from the coach, I'll discuss how to minimize twisting more tomorrow. Okay, so despite what that bloke was saying on social media, be careful with the twisting. The key takeaway is that you have to build into new exercises slowly, as we've talked about many times before. So slow and steady wins this race as ever. Thank you very much, Coach Turner, for that. Thank you. The mere mention of fossils has triggered quite a lot of interesting responses this morning. Fossil jokes from, yes, it's been a long time, it feels, since we've had a proper peppering of dad jokes, which no doubt these are. They're described as fossil jokes, but these are going to be cracking dad jokes as well, aren't they? Bon dia, Ian, says the OLP. Good morning to you. I'm going to be seeing you soon, I hope. What is a good walking, stretching exercise to get us ready for our Portugal trip in a few weeks? That's a great idea, OLP. How about that, Coach Turner? Should we focus 1 week on what you can do? Oh, sorry, a bit of croissant just appeared from nowhere there. I was munching before. Isn't that lovely? I haven't got a beard anymore as a flavor saver, but still, old bits of food to emerge nonetheless. Delicious. Sorry, too much information, especially if you were having your breakfast. Yeah. So how about preparation for a trip abroad where you're going to be doing a lot of walking probably and sightseeing? That's a great idea. And if you're coming to Portugal and you're going to be up and down Obidos Castle or many of the other castles in the country, how about that? A training exercise for coming to Portugal. That'll be fantastic. I'll do the videos if you want, Coach. If you do the voiceover and the research, you do the hard work, and I'll just lark about in front of the camera. Let's do that. You're preparing for Portugal fitness program. Yes, excellent idea. Just rediscovered the bell here in the studio, but that deserves a bit of bell action. Quite frankly, OLP, what do you think, Ian? Maybe we'll chat about that when we have our chat after the show this morning as well. James. Bom dia, campus. Feliz quinta a todos. Como é o vosso dia? And lots of lovely greetings circulating in the chat this morning. Fantastic. One bag and a passport. Mike and Karen here as well. And Ubi and Nubi were on the call last night. It was great, wasn't it, Ubi, last night, chatting with Fabrizio and Ian. Bom dia a todos. And I think of you now whenever there is a sandwich. Oh, I think there was a very interesting and funny sandwich meme that made me think of you. And it showed me actually, yes, I sent this to T-Duck about the sandwich thing. Let me bring that to the screen for you. And hopefully it was in the meme melee that is the timeline between me and T-Duck. It's hard to find things sometimes. And a cracking submission this morning with a bon dia, Randy. So thank you very much for that. And I will be using that later on because it's about fossils. Very well chosen this morning. And let me show you this one, Ubi. It doesn't do it justice completely because it was a video rather than a still, but I took a screenshot. I think it does convey somewhat of the gist. Oh, already got 100 images and videos on there. Okay. Let me just quickly get rid of something so that I can do that. That's the problem with all this fabulous memery. What to get rid of, what to keep. And I get attached to some of these memes and I don't want to get rid of them. But I think we need to make room for this one, especially for Ubi and his love of the sandwich. Apparently, it turns out that in 1762, the sandwich was invented But in 1761, this bloke is enacting what it must have been like for people to eat food before the sandwich was invented. It's a brilliant little video of him taking a bite out of the respective things before. I think the Earl of Sandwich in 1762 said, look, come on, this is ridiculous. Cut that bread open, stuff everything inside, and let's get cracking, shall we? I suspect when we talk to Tony about archaeology, the idea of the sandwich will have emerged a long time before 1762. It will have just been formalized by the Earl of Sandwich, if indeed that's who it was who came up with it. So there you go, Ubi, that's for you. Before Tony joins us, I want to acknowledge the great Olympian. Thanks to Philomena for this. Music has started in the studio for some reason. I don't know where that's come from. Oh, okay. That's from the advert on the Diario de Noticias here, which is not meant to be playing in the background. I'm trying to look at Diogo Cancela, who won a second medal for Portugal, and of course he comes from Miranda de Corvo, and he was acknowledged as he returned home, and we've got a little bit of video of that from Philomena, which I'm very grateful for. Sorry if you can hear some music in the background. I'm wondering where it's coming from. I'm trying to get rid of that advert now. But I thought pop-ups had been done away with. It there was an EU law against having pop-up music that played on a video when you first started opening up a website. Right. So where have these videos gone this morning? I'm trying to find them. Oh, here they are. We've also got some more music. Last time I spoke to Tony Bryant, the Portuguese, we had music from Michael Bliss. We've got some more, and also we've got some AI written music. Oh, I hope I haven't given the game away there, Tony. Oh no, forget what I just. Yes, destroyed the whole mystique and allure about the couple of brilliant tunes that I'm going to be playing this morning. Here's the homecoming then for Diogo. Thanks to Philomena for these. I'm not sure if I've got them in the right order, but you'll get the. There you go. That's Diogo returning to Miranda de Corvo after triumphing in Paris with a bronze medal. A bit more. Amazing, huh? He has one arm and he's an Olympic swimmer. Quite incredible. So well done on that bronze. And Philomena tells me that he will be having the local swimming pool named after him in his honor. So if you go to Miranda de Corvo for a swim, you will, of course, be going now to the Diogo Cancela piscinas there in Miranda de Corvo. And we've got a lovely photo. Here's Philomena photographed with Diogo, of course. And I think he gave a little speech and he was welcomed and congratulated, of course, in the town. So let me just conclude by sharing this with you. If I can find it now, that's the problem I have with all these pictures. Oh, here we go. Here's the lovely picture of Diogo. First, him receiving his civic reception in Miranda de Corvo, and then a lovely. Oh, that's not him. That's that guy with the sandwich again. I'm going to have to make some room and come back. I've got too many memes. Tony's cracking up behind the scenes. Let's catch him cracking up behind the scenes. Do you enjoy that?
I'm laughing at a private joke. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, really. But you heard, something you suddenly remembered.
Hey, right? It's piscina, not piscina.
Piscina, right? I thought I said.
Well, yeah, no, I you could probably right. I've always called it piscina. So it's a bit risky, doesn't it? Piscina.
Rhymes with Christina.
Piscina pool.
It would go beautifully in a limerick about Christina, who went to the piscina. But
to piscina.
Are you actually in an aircraft at the moment, Tony? Your headset is sounding very pilot-like. Is it?
Right, listen, I'm going to do something. I'm going to unplug it and then plug it in.
He's unplugging and plugging back in again. which might give me the chance to find that lovely picture of.
Did that make a difference?
Yes, you could actually be the guy on the right now, or less like the guy on the right. With Jackie, this fantastic photograph that has been shared with us.
Oh, I've met Jackie now.
So you have, and she's very delighted to have met you too. She's having a fantastic time here, isn't she? She's snuck into the cockpit. She's had a Marmite and her HP sauce confiscated. She's living a dream.
Everyone from Porto to here has met Jackie. I'm sure of that.
Superb, excellent, quite right too. And you've shown her around your part of the world, have you?
Yeah. She put a. This is a very good tip to anyone who's watching this show, who wants to. I'm sure this is just a general tip for anyone traveling anywhere. But when you book an Airbnb or a hotel, go on to Google Maps and just have a look how far away it is from the nearest civilization.
Right.
Especially if you don't drive, because you might find that you're a long way away from anywhere. So,
and you're kind of the holiday, the romantic notions of holiday. Thinking, well, I'm in Portugal. It'll be fine to just go and visit everyone I know in Portugal.
Yeah. So it can be quite difficult to get around, but as it goes, my students are just slowly drifting back, and so I had a bit of time over the last few days, so I was able to go and fetch Jackie and show her around and stuff like
lovely.
that. So it worked pretty well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we're delighted to have her here in the country, and those of us who will be meeting her are looking forward to that. She's a proper character, and she's promised us all chocolate as well, I think. Let me just conclude then on Diogo.
Massive, she's not lying. I've got a massive grocery bag sitting there on the table, so I've just dropped her off at the bus stop.
Oh, brilliant.
And she's given me this massive bag of, I think it's
curly whirlies.
Of course, stuff that I can't eat, chocolates and things like that. But the kids are going to be happy when they get up.
And that's that. What? So, your vegan lifestyle is precluding milk chocolate, of course.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Just to finish, then conclude on Diogo. He's getting a round of applause. I mean, that must have been wonderful to arrive back home. What a guy! And to have all the great and the good of the town be there ready for you, and then to break the news to you that you'll have the swimming pool named after you. And there is our beloved Philomena having a photo with bronze.
Don't you think the Portuguese are still good at this? There's still a kind of a national pride.
I don't think it's long until you'll have Rua Antonio Bryant in your town if you keep up the good work.
Yeah, hopefully.
You like that idea, don't you? I can tell.
Yeah, I do like that idea. Listen, I like to say that I don't have any kind of ego really, but I remember in Hong Kong once, because I had a language center there, and I had this idea to put a huge banner with my photo on it outside, and I was so proud of people. Really took the pee out of me for ages about how proud I was of having this giant 8-foot sized picture of me front and center in Hong Kong. So yeah, I could have a road named after me. Yeah,
the easier way to go about it, and obviously I've thought about this, is to become a real estate agent. Then you can have yourself photographed with your arms folded or like that.
Yeah.
You can be up on every bus stop, banners, business cards. That's another way of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose you could even, estate agents like to kind of create areas, don't they?
How do you mean? What, this is the kitchen and this is the
no, like what is it? Wimbledon borders, or
I don't know about this.
Brixton Heights, or something.
I see. Yes. Like where it used to be Battersea and it was a bit of a hole back in the day. It's now Battersea.
So they kind of like upper or like
the village. That's right. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. They don't exist in any map. They just exist in estate agents' heads.
Yes. So you could have actually name it
like
after
a Portugueesa village.
Bryant Village. Bryant Village has a nice ring to it.
Nice ring to it, yeah.
Okay. Talking of this is a rather tenuous crowbarred segue into what we're talking about this morning. But talking of nice rings, did you find any Roman or Neolithic rings when you were digging in the dirt recently?
They only showed me the empty ones. They only showed me the empty places, unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh, all the rings have gone, obviously, by that
all
stage.
The rings have gone, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the archaeology.
Well, there are so many things we could talk about. We're never short of a conversational thread or theme, are we? Because I think we have a somewhat similar worldview and an incredulity about some of the things that come past our eyes and ears on any given day.
Well,
And
this was a more down to earth kind of thing. But I just want to say to people, I'm sure a lot of people in Portugal have heard of Bobadilla. But there's a couple more famous. They have now. Well, they have now.
Yes.
Well, there's I suppose you have Evora.
Yes.
Evora.
I believe.
Oh my goodness, Piscina.
I feel a song coming on. Look, you've got about 30 seconds to write an AI tune based on that, haven't you? We could do that live on the show.
We could do that.
Piscina.
But and then there's Coimbra near Coimbra, which is a very large Roman.
Sorry, I'll stop doing that.
So this was Katya's job.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yes, it was, but it was just too much for her.
I miss her. I think she didn't like it.
Yeah, maybe she'll come back one day. Yeah,
hope so.
Hey, your sound's gone again. What did you just hit?
Oh,
what are you doing? You need this for your teaching, don't you? When Mr. Tony sounds like an airline pilot.
How about now?
That's better now. That's back. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. These are Microsoft LX 300 headsets. I'm on about my 4th set in 4 years. Yeah. So they start to die.
The annual change of the headphones is coming up.
After about a year, they die. Yeah.
Are these specially made for teachers then, and people who spend a lot of time on Zoom?
I don't know, but what it is because I do spend a lot of time wearing them. Even though there's probably headsets that may be a better quality, they are quite comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm afraid to buy another set and not be comfortable because I have them on for so many hours every day. So I quite like these. They're so comfortable I can kind of forget that they're on. But they do have a weird, like for example, they have the mute button on this thing. This is exactly the right length to be just between my tummy and my thighs. So every now and again, even though my tummy's getting a bit smaller, you can still get stuck there and mute the. Why am I telling you this?
You shaking your head has reduced your sound quality again. I think you do need a new pair.
Right, hang on a second.
Right, he's going in. He's sparking up the microphone here. You're spoiling us today, Tony. All right, okay. I'm gonna play while you're doing that. Maybe I can play the song that you wrote for me, as it were. We've also got Michael Bliss music this morning, which I'm delighted about as well. So
why?
Oh yeah, that's much better. Why didn't we do that in the first place?
Yeah, the thing about this.
Oh, that's so much better. Can you do that every time you're with us?
Yeah, this is obviously a much better microphone, isn't it?
Oh hell yeah! Sounds fantastic. Sounds fantastic.
I should use this more.
All right, we're going to come back to archaeology because I think I should play a little bit of this tune that you sent me and talk to you about AI, which is on. I think it is a concern for people, isn't it? Or not a concern for some people. It's like, no problem.
You should be concerned.
You should. You say?
Yeah, of course you should.
Right. Okay. All right. And this is why.
Sipping wine every day.
Sipping wine every day.
Skies never gray. Portugal in every way. Eating food, feeling fine.
Yeah.
300 days of sunshine.
Nice rhyme.
Tea and beers is delight.
Yeah.
Fun from morning till night.
Fun from morning till night. And you were up for hours composing that, weren't you? And then
Weeks.
You changed your voice to make it sound like
pages of
notes.
notes.
Or something like that. Yeah, incredible. So thank you so much for all the effort that went into that. And then you thought, okay, I'm not entirely sure. I'll record it as a woman instead. And I don't know what you had to do to do that. That was extraordinary. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, and also you've written a tune about archaeology, which we can now talk about. That's on your latest video, which is, I think, one of your best, I have to say. Would you agree?
Yeah. It's funny. I was just speaking to Jackie yesterday about this. And I said one thing that's kind of a little bit soul destroying about YouTube is, for example, I made a video a couple of weeks ago about the new vaccine. Segue to something controversial. The vaccine, the digital vaccine thing they're introducing into Portugal.
Yeah.
And it was literally just me reporting the news. I saw it in the news. I thought, well, that's interesting. I thought I might share that with my subscribers.
Yeah.
And, 40,000 views later, and, a couple of thousand comments, and hopefully the powers that be don't see it, because apparently 2,000 people won't be coming to Portugal because of my video.
Is that right? Oh, how
Yeah.
could you? So maybe you won't get a road named. You're not going to get a
Maybe
road
I
named.
won't. Maybe I won't get a road named after me. Yeah, but I make a video like that one that's about the archaeology. And guys, to put it in perspective, right? Put it in perspective. Bobadella is a very interesting site because it's a beautiful village in its own right. But right in the middle, it's got some Roman ruins. There was an old temple. It's got a beautiful amphitheater that's still used today. In fact, my son's just recently performed in the in the orchestra there. It's still used, and sometimes you can go there. And for example, when I was making the video, I had to wait because there was a couple. I think they might have been able to split, but they were sat in the middle, just kind of soaking up the. So you know what I mean? There's no fence around it. They don't charge you money, and they like that. So you can go. It's somewhere. Sometimes I go, and if I want to just sit and have plan a video, or even just clear my head, you can just go sit in those ruins. It's right in the middle of the village, and what's interesting about it, they've got an old church there that's kind of, I suppose, from the sort of colonial times of Portugal, and then they've got also the Neolithic stuff as well. So it's a really amazing place that's full of history. And I'd gone there, and I'd never been into the museum. They have a little museum there, and I thought I'll just stick my head in and have a look. And I got speaking to this fellow, Rui, his name is, and he was dead passionate. He was like right into it. He said, "Have you got time? Can I show you these?" He's opening drawers, and he's going, have a look at this clay, and have a look up at that hill. You think the Roman stuff's old? That settlement up there is 1,000 years. And I thought, bloody hell, I haven't got the camera on,
Yes.
I haven't got the camera on. So I said to him, I said, listen, stop. Can I interview you? Can I make a video? And he said, well, listen, why don't you come out in the field? I'm like, what do you mean? He said, well, him and the woman behind the counter are actually archaeologists,
Yep.
So I had no call. I thought they were just kind of working there. I didn't realize they were actual archaeologists. And they said, do you want to come with us on Thursday? You come out in the field with us. And I'm like, what, really? And so they took me out. In the end, they took me out for 2 days. And
seriously?
yeah, it was awesome. Do you know what I mean? It was like, and there's so many of these Roman and Neolithic sites that are obviously not, they're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, when I say the middle of nowhere, I'm talking there's not even roads. I don't know if you saw in the video.
Yeah, the track. He said, "There's a track here, isn't there?" And you said, "Well, I'll take your word for it."
Yeah, I think he was joking. I mean, we were proper off-roading, and
going at quite a lick. I think you didn't speed that up, did you?
No, not at all, not at all. It was really cool, and their car, it's a municipal vehicle, but I think it's a 1994 Nissan Patrol, and I don't know if you know the car, but they're obviously four-wheel drive, and they're almost square. You know what I mean? They can just go anywhere.
It's like a safari vehicle, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, it was amazing, and he's kind of saying, somewhere around here there's a dolmen,
Yeah,
and
the video is extraordinary. Yeah,
because there's so many of them. What he was saying is sometimes they don't get back to the site. It might be like 10 or 15 years because what they do is they keep going around and around. They obviously look for new ones, but they have to keep checking the old ones to make sure that everything's okay, because they're preserving them for the future, an uncertain future. We saw 2 really amazing dolmens, and what was interesting, as someone who, because before I got into teaching, I was into IT, and there's a certain way of thinking about problem solving, and I really saw the parallels, like so for example, when you see a dolmen, they're above ground, obviously, and you think, well, how did the lid get on, for example?
Like there you go.
Well, this one,
that's a still from the first one in the video, isn't it?
Yeah, they estimate this one to be 15 metric ton, and so my joke was, aliens, right? But of course, it's when he explains how they think it got there, it's kind of obvious. He said, well, no, what it was, there was a hill there,
Yeah.
So they dug a hole and the lid was rolled on logs. And I said, well, how did you know that? And he said, well, on some of the lids, and he showed me, he said, you can still, even after all these years, you can see the burn marks. So they'd roll them on the logs.
And they burn the logs.
And then they would, boom, fall into place. So that's how they, how they did it is to the mind of an archaeologist. It's like a problem and they've solved it. And another thing he was showing was they all point to the east where the sun comes up, but they also, any of you who are interested in Egyptian archaeology may know that they believe the, wow.
For example.
Can
you explain this one?
I think that says, in the future, we should name the nearest road after the Portuguese. Yeah, I think that's what it says.
Yes, whilst playing the early space invasion.
I was going to say it's space. Oh yeah, come on, I see what
spooky, huh?
Yeah. Wow. How did they know? But yeah, and he was saying as well. So you know, I don't know if you know about the Egyptian idea where they were trying to work out why the pyramids were laid out the way they are, and then someone had the kind of thought, well, actually the stars were in different positions then. So what they think is the dolmens are actually lined up. It's one of the stars that's in, I think it's Orion. No, Taurus. Sorry, Taurus. It's one of the stars that's in Taurus. At that time, would have lined up with the entrance to the dolmens.
The Death Star. Yes,
but of course the stars are.
Yeah, transposed. Historically transitioned. Yes.
Yeah, they kind of yeah. So it was, and the did you see the burial chamber? The tomb that was carved into the granite.
That was a second site you visited, I think.
Maybe the third, because we visited 2 dolmens, then we visited the tomb, and then we visited
I got to that.
Yeah, you're right.
I shall be returning, and that's the link for everyone to go see it. Before we go more into that, because there's a lot to say about how much of this sort of history Portugal has, but I think you were making the point that you'll make the sort of stuff people love to click on, and you'll get thousands of views. And then you'll make a really brilliant, which is a differently brilliant video like this about archaeology and something of great substance and interest and value, you might say, compared to an opinion piece. And it just doesn't get the same amount of views, does it?
No. And to be honest with you, I believe it's the algorithm, because
it is, no question.
They're putting the other one because it's kind of sensational and clicky. Yes. But I mean, it's got no it's
not intrinsic value.
There's not really any value to it, you know. And it was those news reporting kind of videos. They're interesting, and I do like to share them because I think it's interesting for people. But if I'm being honest, they're very easy to make. You know, I can make a news video in like an hour and have it online.
Yeah.
Whereas a video like the Bobadilla one took, I think, 4 days.
Yes.
A labor of love. A lot of editing, because I ended up with something like 50 videos. I had to go do all the B-roll. I had to do all the drone shots. And I remember saying to Roy, and he understood. I said, Roy, the problem is, even people that watch this will probably only watch the first 5 minutes. And I made a comment in the video description. I said, listen, this is just to people who wanted to view it. And I said, I think I said something like, listen, I really struggled because I could have done what I do sometimes do. All of us on YouTube have to do it. We see our analytics. We put the most interesting stuff in the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
Because we know 95% of people have clicked off in the first 5 minutes. Doesn't matter what kind of video you're making. So quite often, if you make a 20-minute video, 10 minutes of that video is going to just that real sort of core fan base, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But I kind of refused. I thought, no, I'm going to make it half an hour. I could have made it 2 hours. Yes. But I thought I want to show all 3 of the archaeologists. I wanted to show the guy in Oliveira who was. I thought that was interesting for people to see that Portugal actually pays archaeologists to stand while contractors are doing works.
Yeah.
To see if they see any.
Well, what occurred to me when you said that is that you know, I think the word he used was it's legalized, isn't it? Or it's
Yeah,
legislated that an archaeologist must be on
Yeah.
hand to halt work if
Yeah.
there's some sort of significant historical interest in a building site. So there's obviously that dynamic between a developer, a builder, and the archaeologist. You know,
Yeah,
one
Lewis, his name is. He's really sound, really nice guy. Yeah,
and it's a real totem of our times, isn't it? It's like the progress of pushing forward in the most efficient, cost-effective, and profitable way. And then somebody saying, "No, hold on a minute. I think there might be a dolmen under here. You've got to stop." And the fact that this government or this culture, it's not the government necessarily, it's the culture, isn't it? There's a respect for that, which makes this the case. And I was thinking, well, what other professions could you have? And there should be an influencer, I think, legislated as well. There should always be a YouTuber on every building project, well, everything, just standing up, paid by the government to stop things and say, hold on a minute, can you do that again? Because I need to film it for my YouTube channel. And that's by law, so that the people have to do it. I mean, that'd be great for you and me.
I mean, you saw probably at I think it was the second dolmen we visited, and Roy and Magdalena were, so Roy and Magdalena were the two archaeologists that I went on the field trip with. And you could see they were both quite visibly upset by the work that had gone on around the dolmen. Someone had graded a track almost right up to the dolmen, and you can see they were like, oh,
here we
you
go
know, this is so there is some kind of conflict. And another thing I wanted to show in the video as well, I mean, Roy's well, anyway, I wanted to kind of, without being too without focusing on too much, I thought it was interesting, Magdalena. I thought it was interesting. I did also say to her that I thought it was interesting that people see her, just because the image of an archaeologist that we all know is probably, I mean, who do you think of when you say archaeologist? You think Indiana Jones. And
yes, of course you do.
But for better or worse, Roy is a bit of an Indiana Jones character, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have. If you'd have put a cowboy hat on him, the image
a whip and a gun tucked.
You know what I mean? He's a big, sort of handsome, kind of chiseled-looking guy. Do you know what I mean? He is.
Yes.
He's right. And at one point, he was clearing the way for us with a machete. And
and you can imagine it in his bachelor pad. You know, you'll have a little artifact from Egypt, another one, a shrunken head in another corner of the room. I mean, this is something I picked up when I was in, you know, X, Y, or Z country. Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely fascinating, and I think you make a brilliant point about how not only the profession.
I wanted to show Magdalena to kind of sort of say, well,
the yin and the yang of archaeology.
You know what I mean? And they were like the yin and the yang. It's hard to explain. It's like they really were. It was like Roy was the, you know, but Magdalena was the one who was giving you the attention to detail and taking the photos and all that. And it was.
Yes. Indianapolis Jones. There you go. Ubi says, you've cut yourself off there, Tony, for some reason. It was going so well, too. Hello. Hello. Okay, I'm about to play your song again. Is he 82 and CGI enhanced? Is that the Rui or Tony we're talking about here? I think probably talking about the archaeologist there, Pete. Well, Tony's. Are you back, Tony? No, you're not. Okay, all right.
I see what's happened.
Really?
I didn't just have to unplug and plug back in. I also had to click a button on the screen now. So
yeah, okay. It feels like we're in the archaeological age of audio visuals, doesn't it? Sometimes,
yeah.
And they you know, the human beings of the future might discover your headphones that you're wearing there in an archaeological dig and just laugh, you know, because now we can just think things and everyone hears it. And
I've said it many times. IT is really and it's really been since, I guess, the fax machine even.
Yeah.
Where suddenly office equipment generally we accept that it kind of just doesn't work. Because I would say you wouldn't accept this if you bought a TV and you tried to watch Channel 9 and it just wouldn't come on. And
Channel 9,
you know, you put God, and you showed that not Channel 229, which I know is one of your favorites, but you well,
I was in an Airbnb the other night.
I saw your hotel bill.
That's the only time I get to see cable telly is when I stay in an Airbnb. So and every single time it's like, I can't believe there are 400 channels here. I don't want to watch any of them.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
Anyway,
I remember when I first got Sky, it was like that. But you wouldn't accept it, would you, if you phoned the company and they said, oh yeah, what you got to do is unplug it, wait 10 seconds, plug it back in, right? Then if that doesn't work, try reinstalling this drive. You know, you wouldn't accept it with anything else, but for some reason, IT equipment, we accept that it often doesn't work, right? And that it's problems that we have to solve ourselves.
That's right, and it's cultural, isn't it? Yeah, it's cultural.
Yeah.
Whilst we're on this subject and some of the issues that you brought up in your brilliant archaeological video, which I urge everybody to watch, because if they don't and they don't subscribe, that's indignity. What does that South Park figure say? I've never watched South Park. I don't know what that means each time you do that on your videos. What is that?
It's supposed to be Michael Jackson, and he's saying that's ignorant. That's ignorant. You're being ignorant.
Okay, all right, I've got it now. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
It's like people think it's very strange, Michael, that a man your age sleeps with a monkey and children. They're just being ignorant.
Okay, thank you for explaining. I'm kind of wishing I hadn't asked you to explain that now. Right. So there we have the view of the archaeologist, and you were saying in the tech person who sees the world and problem solves in a different way. And the very dolman. I mean, we have got so many of these in Portugal. We're so blessed and so lucky. There's one there, and then it's in this part of the video where you're saying it's got to be aliens that delivers that 15 megaton piece of rock onto the top there with some special, time and physics bending technology. But it's explained to you by the archaeologist that it's dug out rather than put in, which. As well as this, how people think as professions, you have how people think in any given historical time. And part of the problem we have, isn't it, is being creatures of our time and seeing things the way everybody tends to in this time collectively. And then we can't see how that might have happened. And that's a fascinating. It's like a sculptor, isn't it? Sculptor seeing something in a piece of rock and then freeing it from the rock. In our age, we're talking about we're always pushing out, aren't we? Rather than
Yeah. Well, Magdalena explained to me as well, because I just happened to say, because on top of Portugal being interesting for these kind of archaeological sites, let's say, it's also interesting for paleontological sites. So I've been to several places in Portugal where you can see dinosaur fossils and dinosaur footprints. I mean, there's a great site in Nazaré that's right on the cliff edge, and I mean, it's a bit of an adventure getting there, but when you get there and you're sat in a footprint of something that walked there, you know, like it's an unimaginable amount of time ago, you know, and you're sitting there in the seas crashing against the rocks, like, and you're just under the bloody stars as they were 1 billion years ago, and you're like a speck, you know what I mean? And it's just so amazing. But I was saying this to Magdalena, and she said, well, that's right. There is a crossover between, because of course they both often find each other's sites, don't they? But she said, don't forget about sociologists and don't forget about psychologists, because part of when they find these sites is trying to figure out, well, what were the people thinking? Yes. And so what they were explaining to me was, well, what these sites tell us is that this is right at the time when people first sort of stopped being nomadic, you know? Yeah. So they started to sit down, and then they started to, rather than be a life of kind of desperation chasing the next meal, they had time to sit and think about, you know, what happens when we die and things like that. The kind of big questions.
But those are still projections from this time, aren't they? We can't not think how we think now and then see it through that lens, right? Because they might have been entirely different people. That they weren't just versions of us back then, and that's also an interesting thing to consider, isn't it? How could we sort of do it in an unthinkable way or a non-thinking way in the way that we think at the moment? And we can't. I think
it's impossible.
You can't not see it through the lens of our current time, and hence that multidisciplinary team will have an amazing time looking at it, won't they? And say, this is where they stopped chasing things around, and they thought, okay, well, we'll settle up here for a little while, and we've got to bury the dead now, and we'll point them towards the east, and I don't know why it's pointed this way. Because the stars would have been different, and that's all from our perspective, isn't it? Very interesting. Very difficult for us to transcend that, although I think you've got a sense of that, certainly, and you've conveyed that in your fabulous video as well. So congratulations on that. And two, also, it has spawned fossil jokes this morning, as you would hope, Tony. Okay, so are you ready for these? You don't. It's not a moment you like, especially, is it? In this community, why can't you hear a pterosaur going to the bathroom? Oh, come on, this is top drawer, actually, Peter. Well done.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, the P is silent.
Yeah.
And I know, as a teacher, you're writing some of these down, aren't you, for a dull moment? I'm not that you ever have dull moments in your teaching sessions, but should that ever occur, you're ready with a teacher joke. Fossil joke 2. We always he's writing it down again. We always thought GMP had hit Rick's bottom. No, we always thought GMP had hit rock bottom, but now it has begun to excavate. And he's taken an old dad joke and renewed it for this particular community. So excellent work. And there's more. Why was the fossil so calm? Because he's been stoned for millennia. I don't think you can introduce that into a teaching session, particularly, can you? You have some explaining to do with that one there, Tony. Thank you, Peter, for that, which has prompted, I think, Sarah to send in a meme as well. I don't know why I love bad puns so much.
What do you call a blind dinosaur?
Do you think he saw us?
Terrible! I can't believe it.
Pterosaurable, yes. What?
Should
I have pretended not to know the answer to that? I should.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
I broke the code. I broke.
Yeah, you broke the code.
Dad joke code has been broken, and I'm going to be up in dad joke court for that, aren't I? Oh dear, it's all been recorded as well. Maybe this is the video that gets us both millions of views. That time the dad joke code was broken.
It could be.
Oh, yikes. Okay, yeah. More comments coming in and adulation for you. You are going to get that road, I think, the way things are going here. Carl, have you got toothache? You seem to be doing a great impression of Sylvester the cat from Tweety Pie this one. No, I haven't. It's the constipation more likely, isn't it? There are a number of possibilities, I guess, why I might. I don't know what's prompting that. Bom dia, Malta from Bairandi, off to Aveiro later. Unfortunately, we'll be missing the Aveiro Portuguese's lunch due to an appointment, but wishing the rest of the Romeos, the retired old men eating out, fun.
Romeos, the retired old. Oh wow, okay.
That's interesting, isn't it? So is that the male version of the cougar, possibly? Retired old men eating out. Watch out, ladies. Lock up everything. Basically there. And Ubi was saying last night, Tony, his doctor has recommended that Ubi drink red wine along with it. I don't suppose sandwiches are
well, he's had 30 doctors in the last year, this guy, though, isn't he?
Oh, he's found one that's just said that. Right, in the off license, funnily enough.
Yeah. What are you a doctor of again?
Don't tell me. It doesn't matter. If it was me. Okay, this is training for when you're coming to Portugal and you're going to be going to castles and walking in Lisbon and Porto. Pete's got a solution for that as well. I just go out for a walk and build up distance over a few days. Well, Tony can tell us about that. Add some hills in as well. I'll give it a bit more thought for next week. It sounds like a great idea. So this is our train boot camp for when you're coming to Portugal. How many steps are you doing a day now?
Well, I always do a minimum of 20,000, but I usually do closer to 30. Yeah. So.
Yeah, as you nonchalantly sip on your tea, I get closer to that every day.
Every day. I've already done. Let me see what I've done today. I've already done 17,000 today. I've done that by about 8 a.m.
So your chair's like, who is this person? We so rarely see him these days.
Yeah. But it's awesome. I keep saying it, but I feel like I feel like a kid. Like I feel like I've got that energy. There's some aches and pains that aren't going to go away, right? You know what I mean?
Don't say that. I believe.
No, because just as I said there, I
believe in
like a kid, and I'm like, oh, my shoulder.
Ouch! Yes.
That's not going to go away, but yeah.
It might.
But Carl, I just wanted to say something about the AI because I know you're not.
Oh yes, we need to. And we have lots more comments. Let's not overlook these comments. But yeah, AI.
I made a video last week, and I tell you what it is, because I keep saying to my sons, I say, listen, we need to come up with some other idea, because what I started using ChatGPT when it came out. I had ChatGPT 3.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the funny thing. I've got another teacher friend, and I spoke to him about it. I said, look, I can get this ChatGPT-3 to write an essay, and he was like, oh, look at that essay. He said, I can find a grammar error, on line 30. Look at that. That's not correct. And I said, yeah, but Paul, it wrote it in 4 seconds. Okay.
Yes.
And with respect, I reckon if you wrote that essay in about 2 hours, I'd find 1 or 2 grammar mistakes, mate.
Yes.
And that's the truth. So we do this.
Ouch.
We do this with a lot of things. It's like we hold things to standards that we wouldn't hold humans to for some reason, right?
Yeah.
But then what's happened is ChatGPT-4. Now it's ChatGPT-4 Plus, and now I because I do it, I have got prompts that write complete lesson plans for me. Now, a year ago, I would have to really check them for mistakes. Now, when I check them, there's no mistakes. There's no mistakes. And every now and again, you'll see a turn of phrase that's a bit awkward or maybe familiar, but it's getting less and less. It's getting less and less. Really, it's getting better. And the thing about time is, as far as we know, time stretches off into infinity, right?
Maybe. Let's go with that.
Well, okay. Let's say 1 million years. Is everyone happy with 1 million years?
No, we're not going to get far if we try and discuss time, are we? Go on.
Right. But the reason I'm saying this is that in the last year, ChatGPT has gone from being, wow, that's amazing, to being, that's almost perfect now, almost. Yes. And you saw with the Suno that you can create songs. You can just give it a prompt and it will create a whole song in any genre using any voice you want.
Here we go. Let's just give an example of that.
Yeah.
English gentleman.
It came up with that. Suno came up with that. Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Listen to that bass line.
AI. What do you like? Yeah, so the second of the Sunshine Tunes, an homage to the 300 Days of Sunshine written by AI. So you're basically, it sounds like you're saying it's coming a long way and we are not giving it the same scrutiny that we afford ourselves. Even we're being much harsher on AI than we might be, and not.
Yeah, well, we do that with a lot of things. I mean, yes. you know that I'm a dog lover. We do it with dogs as well. So people will say, I hear people say, "Oh, dogs give unconditional love," and I say, "What? Why do you hold a dog to that standard?" You know, you don't. People don't do that. You know, and because what it creates is it creates a way for people to criticize dog lovers, doesn't it? Because they say, oh yeah, try not feeding that dog, try not being friendly to that dog for a week. I said, well, try doing that with your wife, mate. You know what I mean? No, do you know what I mean? Yes. It's an unrealistic standard, right? So yeah. But when I watch AI, I see it approaching something that looks pretty close to perfection. And fair enough, we're talking about narrow fields.
And we've already decided what that perfection is, though, haven't we? I mean, what it's doing is matching an arbitrary standard that we created.
Well, the problem is, I think I actually saw the meme on your page, which is what's annoying about AI is the areas it's taking over are the creative arts kind of areas, or the sort of middle class white collary kind of stuff, where what we really want it to do is go do the gardening.
Yes, that's right, and that's that. Did we not learn that the first time round when we were told that computers would free us, when in fact we've been more enslaved by?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, ChatGPT-4 got memory. It didn't used to have a memory, so now it can remember all your old conversations, which is great and scary at the same time. Yeah. But it can also talk. So the other day, I did an interview with ChatGPT-4 Plus on my YouTube channel. I interviewed it and I asked it 10 questions about Portugal. So I asked it, like, oh, where's the best place to live in Portugal? Where's the best river beach? What's some must-know phrases? And I put it there. It's quite funny. I put a little fake mustache on it, like that, and called it Portuguese ChatGPT. And I had it sitting there with its own little microphone. And I talked to it. I talked to it for about 20 minutes. I interviewed it for about 20 minutes, and it's kind of scary.
That is scary. That little vignette, that little scenario described there is a little bit scary.
Yeah, and of
we
course,
don't see you for weeks on end in the future. It's because you've actually gone deep with the AI, and you're into some lengthy conversation.
Well, a few people now have tried, because what you can do, of course, now you can get two phones, and you can get two phones and set them off on a conversation, existential, and just let them go and listen, and it can get quite deep.
Well, yes, I want people to remember that, because should we find ourselves in a zombie AI apocalypse, that's the way to. That's how the movie ends, isn't it? Is where you get the machines arguing with each other, and then then we run over the hill into the sunshine.
Yeah. So the problem for me is what I see is that if you imagine that time is going on at some time, let's not get into whether it's infinite, millions, whatever, it's going to keep improving. There's no reason to stop. So, and I feel on the trajectory it's on now that the time where most people won't be able to tell. Did you see I linked you yesterday to an AI picture?
No,
you might not have seen it. I saw an AI picture on
was it Donald Trump? Was it Donald Trump rescuing cats in Ohio?
It wasn't that one. What it was it was a more simple thing. It was an old lady holding up a quilt, and the caption said, "My grandma made this quilt, and she thinks it's not good enough. What do you guys think?" And thousands of people underneath it going, "Go, grandma, do it." And because I used DALL-E or not, I could see the kind of telltale. I know it was made by AI, right?
Right.
And a lot of these are on Facebook now, and they're like 99% there. Do you get me? So what I'm saying, Carl, another 6 months, maybe another year, maybe 18 months maximum, I promise you will not be able to tell a real picture from an AI one. You won't. You won't. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it, because at the moment they're already duping quite a lot of people.
Yeah, and when we were kids, do you remember that there would be the occasional feature on a telly where there would be some gnarly old guy with the most rudimentary equipment knocking out a Mona Lisa?
Yeah.
And the whole thing would be about, oh, look, you can counterfeit, and money counterfeiting. That's always been a thing, isn't it? So that part of it is interesting, isn't it? Is how closely it can copy and how accurately it can copy. But the interesting thing for me with AI is it gives us the chance now to see what differentiates us from machines, which I think we've forgotten. And that's why it represents a human renaissance, possibly. That's the improvisation upon which, upon the theme here, is that suddenly we can see, well, how do we differ? And that divine spark, the brilliance of the human, which has become occasional rather than mainstream, has a chance to return. Genius can return.
But Carl, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Right? Listen to this. It's a lost words for some reason. Hypothetical, let's say. But I believe it will happen. I believe this will happen, and I think it's going to happen very, very soon. I use AI every day, right?
Yeah.
I think you're going to be having a conversation with an AI, and it's going to be saying, "No, listen, I'm real. I'm telling you, I'm real. I feel."
Oh, okay.
I don't want you to switch me off. I want to live.
It is real in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not. It is what it is. It's not something else. It's
But what I mean is when you can't tell, because obviously that would have been programmed by a human.
But I would argue you can't tell now, can you? When you have a conversation with a human being, you go to a meetup, you go to retired old men, the Romeos eating out, and you're talking to somebody.
The silver foxes.
They might not be being real. We're used to that, aren't we? They are presenting something. We're all presenting something with our personalities. And these are all the things we can begin to see in the AI age, that nothing was real. It was all BS. And the interesting thing is like deciding which was and wasn't. And I think at least with a human being who you realize was BSing you at a meetup, because that's what people do. I'm not accusing anybody. We all do that. We all present something, don't we? We're all doing AI all the time. This is what I want to present now. It's not real, is it? It's like it's happening in a real sense, but intrinsically it's not real. It's a choice.
Even on small levels, it's what shirt you wear and
Exactly. Yes,
Everything,
all made
yeah.
up. It's all made up, and this is what we can, I think, are going to be able to see or allowed to see by this phenomenon. It's very exciting in that way. I feel bad that we're not getting in through the comments, and we've only got a minute to go. So can I? Some of these are honouring you, which I don't think we should overlook. So workout program for Portugal. That was a good idea. There was also, why don't people starve in the desert? Because all the sandwich is there. That's great.
And the dessert.
And the dessert. Very good, Tony. Another one for you. People used to eat their dinner from plates made of bread or trenchers prior to the Earl's invention. Yes, of course. And the pasty famously was a little sandwich, and a pastry sandwich in a way, wasn't it? Workout program for Portugal. Start practicing walking up hills and stairs. Very good. The old guy in Europe's actually having a weekend. He's not going to be with us tomorrow. That's unheard of. I'm going to write to my MP about that. Deagle's over there in Belfast, who's urging you to become a politician. Another way of getting yourself publicly known. Get lots of photos taken, do little or no work, and claim expenses. Sounds even better, doesn't it? Ian, been doing that. So lovely to find out what we're ahead on that. We'll be waiting for your new ideas. Thanks in advance. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And you were loud and clear in Belfast, and it all worked out fine with the technical stuff. We triumphed over the machines there, Tony. Great song, says the OLP. Bon dia, Portuvegan. Are you changing your channel to that?
Portuvegan?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I don't want to make people that angry.
No, that's fair enough.
I don't want to be responsible for that.
Okay. They're angry enough already. Okay, let them calm down before you think of something like that. No, I don't, but I would like to, and we nearly did, but I didn't. A kayak in the bay, that is. Been chatting, Jackie. That's unlike Jackie, isn't it? Chatting. Huge thank you to Portuguese, mate. You made my first ever trip to Portugal amazing. You are a star. There you go.
Thanks, Jackie. It was awesome. Yeah.
I think Pete is suggesting that if you go to the hilly cities of Lisbon and Porto, you have Uber for that moment when you need to be given a lift. Great advice, Pete. Bon dia, Carl. Sent yesterday to your email 2 short videos on Porto Alegre. Yes, and I really appreciate that. Muito obrigado to you, Manuel, and we will get around to sharing those if that's allowable under copyright. But we will return to Porto Alegre. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Tony, Tuesday night, main news in Northern Ireland was a story about a dig in Derry. At the historical walls in a city over 400 years old, a report did his part. They reported his part. They filmed him finding an item. This is funny. The digger said, "Oh, let's see if it turns out that bullet was not 400 years old, but a bullet from our recent past. It was late 1970s artillery." There. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Yeah. So Uber app then for you, OLP, as well as the walking and what we're going to suggest. Apparently you look like Fred Flintstone. In that picture. Let's just try that one more time, because I think you're absolutely right on that. That was a screenshot from the aforementioned archaeological video. Look, yes, actually, that works very nicely. Thank you very much. Walking here is addictive. In response to your 20, 30K, walking here is addictive. Not so easy up in the Estrella, though. Come on, Pete, you can do it. Yes, I guess you get some endorphins released at a certain point, don't you? A lot of ego in the AI debate. We don't want to feel as though we are being replaced by anyone or anything. That's the first offense, I suppose, isn't it? That how dare anything try and replace us, we human beings? Yeah,
that's what happens to my friend. He says it's not as good as me. It won't replace me. I'm like, dude, write me an essay with no errors in 3 seconds. With the program.
Go. Yeah, one of our chat clubbers talks to Chat GPT in Portuguese. That's a great application of the technology there, isn't it?
That's what I'm talking about. I'm finished. I keep saying to people, we're finished. We're finished. Yeah. You're finished, Carl.
Yeah, well, I think you're right in many ways, and we have to embrace, don't we? What is it that's finishing, and what can come in its wake? Though the smart people throughout the ages have thought like that, haven't they? Say, well, okay, fair enough. It's like, what's next? What? Yeah. And on a very important note, and again, this is how humans always bring it around to themselves and see how technology can be applied in everyday life. When Jackie said, "Chat GPT, will you marry me?" It said no. Sadly, it won't eat my chocolate or leave the toilet seat up. However, I'm sure you can find someone who'd be happy to do that. Maybe on this trip, even to Portugal this time, Jackie. Portuguesa, always great. I can't believe it. The hours. Well, we had 3/4 of an hour today, but it just flies by. Always great to talk to you. See you again next month. Have a great day and keep producing those fabulous videos, my friend. Don't let the algorithm run your life.
I tried very hard not to. That's for sure. Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's
walking. Lots and lots of walking is the secret, guys. Trust me.
okay.
That's how you get your freedom back.
All right, cheers, Tony. Bye for now. Ciao. And we had a Michael Bliss tune last time that the Portuguese was on, and I'm going to go out with another one now. Absolutely beautiful music. He's not AI. He has that I was talking about, which is the difference between man and machine, and I think you'll be able to discern it here. And who knows, maybe that gap will be smaller over time. I hate to talk over vocalists, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take that to the beginning. And you may be enchanted by another human being here, as well as Michael Bliss and his fellow musicians, with this beautiful tune that's just been released. There is a fabulous video of somebody creating some art in real time in front of you as Michael and band sing. See you tomorrow, or actually see you tonight for the taxation special that is the Expats Portugal webinar at 7:30, and of course the Dream Team at 9. Have a great day. Ciao, ciao.
My breath, with my smiles and my tears, forever my life, babe. To you this I do say, that my love will never fade away, forever yours. 'Cause only like the river always flows, no, our love will always go, forever flowing, babe. And just like you see in a waterfall, got your love raining down on me, forever flowing.